fields. The other day, they come to sell in the town. So like this, we have those 60 fairs going on during the whole month, and they are all organic certified. They are not yet fair trade certified. They are organic certified. And we think how we can certify them on fair trade, because they are producers selling directly to the consumer. So the consumer just go and they change, they share experience. So is this a need for certification when you are a producer telling about your experience? So they start to organize the first fair in 2010 after the traditional one. In the first year, they had an income about 700,000 reais, which means I think $200,000. In the entire year, their income was like $2.5 million with 60 fairs happening in town. And the most interesting, it's incredible. So they could now they can buy it. They bought a truck. They have a place in the community where they bring all the food and they can organize themselves, because one of the problems is the cost to get in town to sell. So now they are gaining volume, they are gaining scale, and they can invest much more in the process. But the most interesting thing here is that it's a partnership where the town hall helps with the space. So, okay, you can use the space, and what do you need in documents and everything else? So we help on this, and we help to organize the group. So we have a council, and this council is made by producers and the town hall, how to move forward, you know, how we can implement even more fair. So now we have, besides these 15 neighborhoods that already have fairs, we have 5 others neighborhoods asking for, because this fair is a small fair, only 37 booths, so it's limited. It's not, you cannot have like 100 booths fair, so it's limited. It's really, really clean. So when it finishes at 1 p.m., the town hall doesn't need to bring the people to, you know, arrange things, because when they leave, it's perfect, you know, no problem. So all the neighborhoods is fair. And we are struggling with this because they have to organize themselves, but we have more demand than the capacity of organizing. We're trying to find a way, you know. And what makes me really happy, and then I will go to Teresa, but what makes me really happy, why is this sustainable? Why is this sustainable? Okay, there is the environmental part, okay, organic certified, this part is okay, but it is sustainable because they are the ones organizing, okay? We just help with the documentation, and because of this we have a law in Rio, so it allows them to go through this public policy, but they spend 24 hours and 20 minutes. So it's completely sustainable. It's based on solidarity economy, and it's growing faster than we could ever imagine. So this this is a chart of Rio, and what's the name of this in English? This animal?
Yeah, it's ladybird.
Ladybird. So do you know why ladybird is the symbol of organics?
Because they eat aphids.
they eat the bugs. You know, like where there is a ladybird means that you are eating healthy food. So these ladybirds here are the places where we have actually the street markets. We are trying to bring the street markets further to the north of the town, because in this area here, there's where the most needed population. So here is South Zone, people that has a better income. That's where it started. But we want to bring healthy foods to the other part of the town. So there is a plan to spread in this direction. And I let you with Teresa. Teresa maybe you can present yourself again, because when we started, it was half people here.
Does each neighborhood host one of these fairs a week?
Yes,
For the month?
perfect. It's we have fairs every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Yeah, and in 15 neighborhoods, so they perfect. Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday.
At
So
the same
those are the
place.
fairs.
Location.
At
No,
the same place.
rotating.
Different
Okay.
place.
Different places, different squares. Normally, it's in a plaza, in a square.
The same product.
Yes, it's mainly in English like lettuce, carrots, vegetables, and all organic. And we are talking about the supply chain now with Teresa, and we also, you can help us to think about this, because we have developed the constitution of this process. There is a document that they follow, and now 2 months ago, within fair trade. So we put like ideas from fair trade in this document, and we are trying to make it for real. But I'll let Teresa to explain, because there are lots of things on this.
Yeah, I just have one question. If it's working so well, but it sounds like you want to certify it.
No, that's the thing. I'm not sure if because they already certify it
Organic.
by organic.
Yeah.
Okay. So in Brazil we have that places different ways you can certify it. One of them is the participatory certification system, and we are going in this way with them.
Yeah.
But even though when they are in direct contact with the consumers,
Why bother?
okay, we're talking to the producer already. So,
Yeah.
but among them, there are things that need to be solved in this sense about the organization process than to build trust with consumers.
Right.
In this case,
So again, I'm original. That's my background, studying background. But I always cooked since I was a little girl, and in my family, food is something really important. So I had this value of good food, and after being a chef, I have a restaurant where the last conference party was in Rio years ago. And I have been a chef for 35 years now. And when the first farmers market started in 2010, not the first one, but the first one, they invited me to make like, to do something at the fair to bring consumers. As you know, although the producers are getting very organized in the last 10 years, saying the consumers are still very confused and very not aware of the importance of the chain. So people, one of the organizer of the farmers market asked me if I could make something at the fair to bring people, and it was quite. I don't know if you know the story. And then a friend of mine who were both slow food members. So we had that slow food philosophy in our heads. We said, let's do something with manioc, which is the staple food of Brazil. Brazil was the originated place of manioc, and it was like poor people's food for ages. The indigenous people domesticated the wild food. So this is our symbol, like food sovereignty, food security, manioc. So I said to her, let's do something of manioc, something that is quick and easy. And we children's program on education about our originated food. And we crepes. It's a kind of a tortilla made of tapioca starch. And that's very easy to make, and it's very tasty, and you can fill it with all sorts of things. So we did that tapioca stand. And sorry, is that okay? Yes. Light, yeah. So we did that tapioca stand, And the thing is, the idea was to bring people to the farmers market. But in that day, it really rained. It was windy. It was horrible. Their stands with their food, and we were there.
No consumers.
No consumers. And the wind was like this, and the rain was horrible. And because we brought everything and we were there, we say, let's do it. And we start doing it, and some farmers start to get interested because they didn't have anyone to sell to. So they came along and they stood among us, and we start teaching what we are going to teach. It was like a workshop, not only to make the crepes, but to teach how to do things. And then the farmers came and they started to see, and we bought everything to make that. We bought everything from food being treated in another way, in a gourmet way, in a chef's way, and they start to get really interested in that. So the thing is, at that day we realized that we had a place not only with the consumers but also with the producers, having a new way to cook their stuff and to communicate with them. So we started that at that time, 2010, December 2010, and we didn't leave. Because it was supposed to be just a one-time experience, but we realized that was our place, that we would learn very much from being there. We could help very much from being there, and we are in 4 different farmers markets. We are a very small structure in the organization, but we are struggling now to have a stand in each farmers market one day. So we started to try to understand the supply chain and try to understand how restaurants can relate to that. Because again, there's a lot of a farmers organization in Brazil. There's a big movement from a long time of Vila Campesina movement ages ago. So there are some islands of but for the consumers, and especially for my people, the people from the restaurant, there's no knowledge, there's no interest. They say all the time, oh, that's very difficult, we cannot do that, and it's very expensive, and we have all sorts of problems. So, and what we wanted to do is to make chefs aware of their importance in the food chain. Because chefs today, they became like powerful people for all sorts of weird reasons and good reasons too. But why not use this power to help the campaign? So here we have like the normal food chain for restaurants and for consumers. So the fields like mono plants, all sorts of agrotoxins and chemicals used, and the processing being on factories, and the packaging also on industrialized, and lots of media at the TV about the industrialized food to make people want to eat it because they are not good. And the supermarket at the middle of this food chain, money, and people getting lots of money. So the farmer gets more or less, and the other person, the man in between, gets much more, and the consumer takes whatever, and the restaurant cooks whatever is available for them to make their food. And this guy here has all the power and has all the how can I say that? The success, all the success. No, this guy here is everyone. Oh, the chefs. But what about those guys behind the chefs? The new model, which is we try to understand each person. It's written in Portuguese, so I'm going to explain a little bit of each. Each person in the food chain of the organic markets today in Rio, because as Ana said, it's not everything is not good. Well, yes, many things we succeed, and many things the farmers succeed, But there are a few things that we discovered on the way, which has to be solved yet. So the first type of farmer is the organized one. Here's the guy with the, the association, and they are all together, and they help each other. They are formalized. They have everything settled, the numbers, the government issues, etc. This is one type. The second type is one representing the other. So they don't have anymore the documents, as you see, is an informal representation, and they get from the neighbors around, and they take to the farmers market. So the first one takes in a formalized way, which means the transparency is there, the way they charge the price, it's open to everyone. Here is not so much. Here, if they are a good guy, they share with the farmer that was the supplier. But if he's not a good guy, he charges whatever he wants, and the guy in the back, he doesn't know how much the guy gained with that and how much was his share. So this is the first one. So this is like, I don't know, I don't have the data. I forgot that how many we have of this.
Yeah,
but I think it's a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's mostly that.
Mostly that.
Yeah. Okay. The third type. The third type is one type that we discovered by chance. It was an accident because we made this great event called Banquet in the Fields, which was an event with chefs cooking with farmers, and we brought the vice governor, and it was really nice because it was in the middle of one of the fields that weren't being used at that time, and with all the looks of a banquet, with all the looks of fine tableware, and it was really amazing. It was a model that in the United States they have calling outstanding in the fields. They use it very much in the wineries, but we wanted to do it in the organic farmers' land. So, but the thing is, we did this show, this banquet, and we found out that the farmer there wasn't really a farmer. Actually, he was the owner of
the
truck. And he disguised himself as a farmer. He said he was a farmer because that would be good for the, for the thing, because we were very much saying that the farmers were the guys that they pay attention to. So he was the guy that he lived there in the fields. He was part of the community, and he got this truck, but he never planted anything in his life. So he disguised himself as a farmer, and he went to the farmers market saying that he was a farmer, and he sold everything. So all the consumers got there and said, oh, and he was a very outspoken person, so it was very good for selling. So, and he was, everyone was he's so intelligent, he's so clever, and we're gonna buy from him. And even us, the chefs, we got into that lie. And then after that, someone told us, and it was a big crisis. We know this problem is there, but we think that we are not the person that can solve it. Has to be from them. Has to be
from their own organization.
From their own organization, or as we are saying here, from a kind of a transparency method that allows everyone to know who's earning who. Because this guy could only do that because it didn't have any transparency. And he was like the best guy also for the field people, also for the farmers, because he was not in a fair way, in an unfair way. And for the customers, he was great. He was a great seller. For the farmers, he was great because he was a great buyer. Where is the fair necessity? But we saw that really, if in this type, just like the other type of food chain, that's no news here. It's not a fair supply chain. It's a different thing. So, and then there's another type of person in the farmers market, which is someone that's really transparent. He's a merchant. He buys organic because in this organic farmer, this farmers market organic, it has to be everything has to be organic products, but also processed products. And in Rio, there's very little processed products being made. That's a long story that we tell in another time. Why we only have like salads, because it's a quick chain and it gives little money but quick. So that's why in Rio, which is a state mostly urban, people start leaving the country, and today there is only the guys that makes this is small, like small money and quick. But it's starting a movement of new rurals, new people, young people are coming slowly by slowly, so we can feel a change. So this guy is not the bad guy like the other one, because he doesn't disguise himself. He says, I'm a merchant, I'm a salesman, I buy organic, and I pay their price, their fair price to people. So this guy is okay. And then, so these are the four guys, the actors of the farmers market. So this is the new food supply chain. So the guy there, as you see, is planting different crops. So organic must have biodiversity. So that's from the beginning is a good thing for the earth. In the middle of the process, that comes to the market, farmers market, which is here. And that's where we are, Instituto Maniva. Instituto Maniva is an organization that started with the slow food movement and it answers the question, what can the chefs help? What to help the food chain to be fair? That's our goal and our mission. So we add, because we are add value people, that's what chefs do. We get an apple and we make an apple construction pie. So why not add value to their products in a way that the food chain can be fairer? So our actions are in being there at the farmers market. Just being there is an action because we know their problems from the farmers' point of view. We know what's going on. We know the necessity of organizing themselves, but also because we are this lost link between the production and the consumer, the consuming, we also talk to consumers. So we can know what the consumers want, what the consumers are complaining about. And also we can change their point. You shown before. She doesn't realize that buying that food, the organic food at the farmers market, she's always helping many people's health. So that knowledge and that conscience is something that people don't have it for granted. People need to be aware. So that's one of our missions as well. And also the health of the future people. You know, there are many babies and little children that they went to the farmers market and ate everything there and had our knowledge from the belly of the mother, and today they are growing up. So our challenge now is to help that in a more systematic way, but also to take that to restaurants. And we have a new brand called Farmers Partner, and that brand is a program. We are going to do lots of actions and lots of programs to improve that relationship between the agroecological farmers and the restaurants. So that's the last last. You're going to talk now?
Yeah, no, just a little bit quick on this. What I think is important, we started to really to try to understand how the supply chain was organized. We saw that we had different types of producers in the process. So when we think, okay, do we need a label? Maybe not, because they are in directly contact with the consumers. But do we need a system that can help these producers here not to be affected by this guy, at least this guy here and here more or less? So how can we make this more fair? How can we make this happen in a fair trade way? And when, because they were time and we couldn't understand, oh, why you're fighting? It's your neighbor, so why there's fights among you? What else happening there? And then we start to open and to open and to open. And for the first time now, in the last months, we start to talk about fair trade with them. And they are pretty much interested. How we take fair trade to this reality? You know, like, because it's not only about the trust of the consumers, but it's about the trust among themselves. So we have another trust issue in the supply chain, which is among producers and among the people that are inside. So I think it's crucial trade. And this, I think, for the town hall and for the council of producers is the main challenge we have ahead now.
So when you say they were fighting with each other, is it because they were fighting with the middleman or with each other? They were afraid they were going to miss out on market, or what are some of the main issues?
The middleman is like the crisis that happens, and there are producers that are afraid to lose the middleman.
Okay.
Yeah, because not all the producers go to the farm market. Most of them stay in the land, and some of them go. So they were afraid. Some of them are afraid to lose. And others say you have.
Right.
Yeah,
They have a dependency.
they have a dependence relationship, and others say you should open your eyes and see what's happening. So in the fields, there is a lot of distrust among them.
Yeah, because there's the question of opportunity. Because Rio was not a rural state anymore, it was really endangered. The profession of small farming. It was really dangerous. It was like light at the end of the tunnel, like really completely different. So it took a while for them to understand what that could do to themselves. So a wise guy in a bad way, he takes the opportunity. He saw that that's going to grow, so I'm going to get in the middle of it. But as I told you, he bought a lot of stuff. So for their point of view, and even for him, his point of view, he was saying, I am helping those guys because they changed their houses, they bought a car they never had before. So how can you say that's not good for them?
Yeah.
So, and the other thing is that to plant one day, to grow in the fields one day, and to go to the farmer's market the next day, and we question ourselves, how long are those guys are going to stand by for that, you know? Because if you, and it's a very complicated issue, because if you start separating the people that go to the farmers market, and the vision of those farmers market is that the guys themselves are the planters, the guy that plant, and the guy that go to the urban. We link the urban with the rural with that action. And that's very, very special. But I think that it's very like even the governments still understanding the strength of that. They haven't yet.
Yes, no, totally. It's a process.
So the last one, so this is what we call like a fair supply chain.
Yeah.
And the idea is that there are lots of issues. One of the main issues is piracy can only happen if communication happens. and the communication between them is very poor also. So communication, union, like being together and having meetings, like they hate meetings, the people from the country. I don't know if not the
I
country,
know.
but in Brazil, we are losing time of planting. They don't understand that they need to talk to each other and to look at each other and to feel what the other one is saying to get something together. That's a lost time that is really necessary. And also us as an actor of the third sector and also of the restaurant scene, we need to be there to talk to them. The question of buying the supplies, because some of the chefs, my friends, they really say, oh, I'm doing social work because I'm buying from them. And that's not it, because we, by being there and by talking to them and by reverting the supply chain, we understood so many things. We even found new products. Because if you go to the land, there are products that they don't take to the farmers market because it doesn't sell. And that's very interesting for chefs.
Yeah.
Chefs live on new things, new products. So, but our chefs, the group of eco chefs, we founded the group of eco chefs, which is not the brand actually. And those chefs, we have 16 chefs now. They help those actions, but to tell that some of them they go with me and with Cristina to the farmers' land to have the meetings, but many of them they still don't get the importance they have in that new supply chain.
Yeah, if just I don't know if I can come back. Yeah, this is a challenge. How we understand this process from a fair trade point of view. This is a challenge. How to implement guarantee system in this process, taking all the informal process from them without making this hard, like heavy
Bureaucracy.
Yeah, bureaucracy. So how we do this? It's one thing. Another challenge is how we can even grow from this. So the next step we are taking that in the city hall is to bring this farmers food, organic food to the schools. So in Rio we have 1,400 schools in the municipality, and we are working on the Fair Trade Town project for Rio. And by law, a town hall needs to buy 30% of their food and it's called penai.
Also, I think it's a good idea to talk about the two very important laws in Brazil about small agriculture. One is because someone at the government thought, we buy food, we buy food for the prisons, for the schools, for the whatever people, hospitals. Yeah. So why not buy food from the small farming? So that was a really clever thinking, and that leads to two laws. The government has to buy 30% for the schools. And that's going on. That's a work in progress. It hasn't happened yet. Many places where the farmers are organized, in the south of Brazil, for instance, they are already going to the school themselves and selling door to door. And in Rio, for instance, we have only 5% of this 30%.
Yes.
So that's one of our challenges. And the other law is the PAA. So if you look in the which site or government site?
Yeah, you put it internet. Brazil, penai,
yeah. So this law is really, those two laws are amazing, and they are making a big difference into the farmers' situation in Brazil. And we are connecting with them because we know.
Yeah. So for example, you have a farm market, and just by the side you have a public school. What happens? Tax is over. You still have products. So how you take these products back to the mountains you lose it. They will sell for any price, or they will
Throw
give to
away.
the animals, they throw away.
Yeah.
So the idea is to link the schools near to the markets to this system. So this is one thing. But we are talking about more than 1,500 schools, almost this. So we really are working, and how this system that is already in place can also help to supply the schools. And this is, I think, that is the biggest challenge we have ahead of us. If we become a fair trade town, I don't know, this will be a big part of this.
But you have very good point if you look at the picture. I think the step, I think,
Let's do it.
I just want to share, you know. Good point, you have the market, okay?
Yeah.
You know that's your country did the two things. You are here, full, and this is for full, I can say.
Yeah.
But the main point is when we're talking about fair trade, sorry if I'm wrong.
Please.
In my belief, fair trade is the problem of from the top going to the bottom. You cannot expect from the bottom to do marketing, you know. You have very potential here. With this and this, you support them. How to build their organization, I think it is very good. And what is the contribution? This and when there is harvest failure,
Yes.
there we can look at whether fair trade can work or not.
Yeah, what happened is that he got completely in the corner because when what you say is that when this relationship, because we're talking about relationship, fair trade is about relationship. So when this relationship links very well with those guys here, this guy here, he gets completely in the corner. There's no place for him anymore.
Yeah. So I work in the world of coffee, and this is exactly why probably 90% of the customers who are getting exploited by the local middleman. And what you see is that, yes, he provides a service when there's no other option, but as soon as the farmers can get together and buy their own truck, then he is in the corner, and what ends up happening is he has to raise his prices to even aren't associated to get some benefit because he can't come now. He has, and I think if you're looking at how to fit this into the fair trade world, my suggestion, think really hard before you look at certification. That's the world we live in, and it's a mess. It's a really big mess, because you're trying to certify a relationship,
Yeah.
and it's because it's so big up all kinds of different rules and things we can measure and to try and come up with something that looks legal. And what you really want to know is, how is this working for people? Keep it really transparent. I think that's a great approach. And but yes, basing it on the values of fair trade. So it's fitting within the collectivity, the transparency, the democracy, and the honesty in profit sharing.
Yes, and another thing I forgot to tell, I was forgetting, it's about how this relationship is starting to happen in my own restaurant. Well, first, this stand there, we don't make any kind of food. We make tapioca crepes, which is our symbol. It's the United States and Canada, but we eat everyday bread in Brazil. That's a food to non-colonization. So we do that like typical food, which is the tapioca crepe, and we did it Thai's way. We did it slightly different with seeds that enhance the nutritious value and everything. And because I was as a chef, and sometimes I have to share my time between the restaurant and the organization. I started to use those products in my own restaurant, and that was about 10 years ago. I started to do that. Before the organization was founded, I was already using as the chefs use, because it's a good product. It's very different, so it brings customers interest and all that. But once I start knowing them, I start realizing there are so many products. And some people start to send me products, saying that's the special product from small farming. And in my restaurant, I start to put in the menu, like this, cheese, so many restaurants do today.
Yeah.
But then after that, I said, why not show this to people, like in a more graphic way? Because I'm a graphic designer from my background. So I decided to make a map in my restaurant at the wall. And in this map, there is a place where where those products come from. But that was about 4 years ago, because today I am just launching this new menu where the products not only are in the map, but they are also shown in the menu, at the menu, with numbers. So that's it. We have this map at wall, which is a big map showing where all the 19 products come from. And at the menu at the back, every dish has the numbers that are in the map. So it's like giving all the instructions to the people that are sitting, that if they eat that, they are going to help, people that they are there. And also, there's the name of the producer, and there's the name of the place where they are from. So if the guy wants to get in contact, I'm not the owner of that product, So, because chefs sometimes they like to keep their products to themselves. They find a product, oh, this is my product. Which is a lie. It's not true. Someone planted that. Someone grown that. So that is the new. You are seeing that before my clients, because this is a new launch, and that's it. So every time, and the words here also are about this choice, because and what happened is, because of this map, I showed that to my daughter. She said, why not make e-commerce of those? For the next project of e-commerce of those products, completely transparent in the fair trade way. Like, I want people to know how much I earn to sell that to people. Because I think that's the only way to do the transparency. The trust is the main blood of all relationships. And if you talk about fair relationships, fair trade, I think it has to be transparent. So that's why I think the communication and transparency is the key issue to make this work really well.
Yeah, and to be sustainable, it needs to be
Sorry, I cannot.
To be sustainable, we think that needs to be local. So you are working with local producers, and producers can get directly contact with final consumers, with chefs, and now with the city hall to sell to the schools. We believe that if we can do this in a city that it's also producing, it's the fastest way to bring sustainability. If it's organized in a solidarity economy way, But there was a question. There was another question.
Very good infographics, but
No, I buy for now. Those are the food that I buy and I put in my dish.
Yeah.
So for now, that's the relationship. Buying and communicating to the consumer all about them. It's not a question of putting a percent in that dish for them to earn. It's a question of, because I think there's a difference. For me, putting a percentage is good, but it's still philanthropy. And I think that if you buy from them in a fair way, in a good way, and especially if you communicate with the person that's responsible for that, I think it's much more strong than to give a percentage. I know people social but they don't communicate. You don't know who those people are. Anyone can get in touch with those guys and buy much more than my restaurant. So I think that's much more important